Hello my brothers and sisters on the Dragon's Path. My name is Tiamat and I'm a dragon witch. Welcome in Belgium and welcome in front of my dragon altar. A strange thing, isn't it? If dragons are so powerful and influence the dragon, nature in itself, nature, the four elements resembles the dragon. So how come that the dragon is not allowed where nature is, so present like on earth, where we live in? How is it that we don't see a dragon in flesh and blood in this world? I often ask myself this. I wanted to have a scientific reason why the dragon is not here anymore and why the dragon is actually, it feels like the dragon is not allowed in this world. Well, actually, my brothers and sisters, when I came to read the story of Tiamat, well, actually, this is a story why we don't see dragons anymore. Why dragons used to be here, but later on they were not anymore. You know, Tiamat's story has always moved me. Her story as the mother of the earth and living in the shadow of a god who is still worshipped today. While Tiamat offers us life and doesn't ask for worship, the other god demands worship. Marduk, that stood next to Yahweh, also being called the Christian god, had even banished all dragons and serpents to the void, where they eventually ended up in their own dragon realm, also being called the Dragon Star. Made by the dragon gods for their children, made by Tiamat and all of the other dragon gods like Fafnir, Quetzalcoatl, Leviathan, and Shenlong and Tialong, all for their children, because they cared for their children. The dragons will not end up in the void forever. The dragons are always with their children. But Marduk, the god who couldn't make a creation of life, but used Tiamat's energy for the worship of her creation to him, kept one of his children as a servant. The dragon was named Masushu, to set an example that shows that he's all merciful, that he doesn't kill them all, that he just, that is what actually happened in this story. Tiamat's husband was being slain and killed. He wasn't just a demigod, but Tiamat was a full god, a goddess, a creator of all things can be. But next to her side was her husband that was being killed by these gods, as I can believe the stories. And of course, she also had a son named Kingo, and Kingo was her guardian. The guardian, he took care of her like a guardian in itself, just like our dragons take care of us. That is how loyal dragons are. Dragons are loyal to their parents, to their family, and that is why dragons are still with us. They will not leave us behind. And that is what Tiamat's story says as well, from Kingo, from the son of Tiamat. And that is what we can call ourselves as well, the creations, but also the children of the dragon god, or in this case, goddess. Because I had worked before with Tiamat. I'm not only worked before, she's a part of my dragon eye. She is the reason why I am awakened, also because of the dragon by my side. So yeah, the dragon was being called Masushu to set an example of his mercy. Tiamat became the earth, hence many Christians, and that is important, my brothers and sisters, many Christians today believe that the earth was a creation of the devil while God ruled over it, which made nature worship a demonic practice into the idea of many Christians and to maybe all other religions to this day, almost all other religions to this day believe that the nature worship is a demonic practice, and that global warming, for example, is not because humans destroy nature, or maybe it's time to be warmed up, but has other reasons, or don't even believe it at all. There are many people who don't believe in global warming, and believe that, you don't, and that is what they said to me, you don't worship the creation, you should worship the creator. But once I said, actually the creator and the creation is the same thing, the God that you are bowing down before is an imposter. And that is what I read in the story of Tiamat, is the one that replaced her and used her energy. That God is not a man in the sky, but a female dragon that had many children, because that is what Tiamat was. Tiamat was the goddess of fertility. She had children so easy. She had life so easy. She should create life so easy, even without intercourse. That is how a god is. A god can create life just because they are life. And that is actually what happened in this story as well, that Marduk needed her energy. And so he started with killing her husband, starting the war of the gods, you can say the war of the heavens, that eventually Tiamat was split in two and put on the earth, and everything that grows is still her, because a goddess, in the story they say Tiamat died, but a goddess doesn't die. In my practices as a dragon witch, every time when I go to the forest and I go to nature in itself, and I had so many experiences with Tiamat, that I would say to you, my brothers and sisters, everything in nature is still her. Everything, every tree, everything that grows, everything that we eat, it's all still her energy. And she had a lot of connection with everything that is her children. And that is why I sometimes feel obligated to talk about the mother of all dragons. I sometimes feel that I should talk about her, but also from the other dragon gods, that I want to talk about them as well. But Tiamat is my main dragon goddess, and she came to me many years ago, and people call me crazy, but I don't care, because I'm not here to convince you of the existence of Tiamat or the dragons. It's something that you need to feel inside. I don't call it faith, I call it experience. So yeah, so that is what people say. Don't worship the creation, worship the creator. But when I say the creator is the creation is the creator, and vice versa, of course they don't understand that. A lot of people actually do believe that nature worship is evil. Well, worshipping a tree and see it as Tiamat is evil, according to a lot of people, because of the story of Tiamat. Because it was actually Marduk that ruled over life, but it was actually Tiamat that made life and made the trees and made nature. But yeah, like the story said, and through which no dragons were allowed on Earth anymore. After a while, he gained so much energy and power in this story that all of the dragons had to go away, now that his reign was complete. But dragons, they are still here. I can feel them still here, my brothers and sisters. I can feel them with you. I can feel them everywhere, but they need to be different. Not in energy, but different. And with different, I mean that they are sometimes born, actually always now are born. Dragon spirits are born in different bodies. So you are actually going against the rule of the earth now, that there cannot be dragons anymore in a physical way. Well, there are, because you are still here, my brothers and sisters. Not in the face of a dragon, but you are hidden. Your dragon soul is hidden, cannot be seen, and now you can still feel it in everything that nature has to offer. When the rains fall on your head, when the rain is falling on your head, when nature changes the season, when you feel the wind on your body, Tiamat, or also being Ghana, also being called Ghana, shows that she is still there. She doesn't leave her children alone, like Mashushu was. Mashushu was a dragon also, the only one that he kept, that Marduk kept. Marduk kept one dragon as his servant, and this was his loyal servant, because that is what dragons are, made believing that he was the creator of this dragon. But Tiamat was gone. Tiamat could not be with Mashushu. So now this one dragon has become a symbol of Marduk. Marduk, the one that killed his mother. And that is why sometimes the story of Tiamat moves me so much, and that people bow down before something wrong. That I am demonized because I worship nature. I worship the dragon. Because I could feel them like my mother, like my creator. So yeah, the dragon. Masushu has become the dragon servant, of a dragon slayer. That is how I see it. Tiamat on the other dragon gods will not leave you behind, not like Masushu was. Masushu was the first dragon that was left behind, and that the other dragon gods were banished forever, killed, and their spirit was slain, and their spirit was gone and banished. And so, because this has different time, you don't have to see it like this is another timeline, because on the other side there is no timeline. Time works completely different than you can even imagine. That is when you enter the dragon realm, time also is something not the same as here. So this doesn't have a timeline. It is just the beginning of all times, where this happened. So now one dragon is eternal to the next two Marduks. But that is also the big reason why dragons are so much demonized. The story of all of the dragon god explains, except for the Quetzalcoatl story or Shenlong and Tialong, all of the other dragon gods are so much demonized, even though they were worshipped one day. Worshipped very much by people, by humans, and they looked up to the dragon. And I want that people with a dragon soul do the same thing. Look up to the dragon, because it's looking up to yourself. It's looking up to who you are and what you follow, because the dragon gods will not abandon you. Not like Masushu, not what happened, because Tiamat couldn't be there at that moment. And so the influence of Marduk cannot be underestimated, because he was on the side of Yahweh, also being called the Christian God. And these gods can be very influential. And that is, as you can see, of course, you cannot go through a day without seeing one of these Christian things. That is just a legacy from this. And that is also why the dragons are so much demonized. The dragons couldn't say anything anymore. But the dragon is living inside of you. You should feel that. You should feel nature. You should feel the creation. You should feel the dragon gods, and not the gods that they say, because he wanted to have worship. He demands worship. He must have this energy. He must have this power. That is what Tiamat didn't want, because she was already so powerful. She was not a fighter. She was a goddess. She was a creator. That is the reason why she was split in two, but she could not die. In hopes that she would die, she cannot die, but she created life, but she couldn't rule over life, or her own creation. That is what Marduk used. So who is actually the villain in this story? When you talk it, when you say it, when you explain it like this, my brothers and sisters.